All right, everyone. So welcome back to Gunship 4 community meeting. All right. So you guys see my screen?
Yeah, I do.
Cool. Okay. So this is the SU-25K that we showed before, but I think maybe a lot of people didn't see it yet. Yes, before we only show it in the backers servers. Yeah, so this is the first time that we showed in the public servers. Yeah. So the artist just finished the both the outside and also the cockpit of the aircraft. So yeah, so it's pretty good models. Just all the details. Yeah. So flaps and lights and everything. And here's the simple cockpit. Yeah, just the base. The just very low detail cockpit for outside like rendering. Yeah, yeah, and then this is the ladder. I think it could be let me see. Yeah, so you see animation. So yeah, this open like this. I don't know what this for. Oh, it's a side step, so you can climb up here and use a step. Yeah. You know, imagine in the future if we do VR, then it's gonna be very nice if the VR player could climb up the step and get into the aircrafts. Yeah. Yes, and inside the engines. Yeah, these could be will be animation as well, so it's gonna turn. Yeah, in the back wheels. Yeah, so that is the SU-25K outside, and then yeah, we just recently received the cockpit. Yeah, let me share the cockpit. Okay, here the cockpit. Um, yeah. Uh, Let me load this K36. Um, oh, we don't have textures for the seat yet. I will ask him. Okay, probably the same at the MiG 29. Yeah, but the rest of it is similar. So one thing I noticed is there's no like TV screen on the right. So probably the before probably it's less equipped compared to the Russian versions, I think. Yeah. So there's no TV screen over here. And let's see, canopy open. Um, yeah, let me turn off the canopy. Yeah, this is my first time look at aircraft as well. So I'm new to this aircraft. So Yeah, it looks like it's completely different from the MiG-29. It's nothing similar. Yeah, these gauge is pretty similar to the MiG-29, and then also these. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is the cockpit of the SU-25K. So, you guys have any comment? Anything that you guys to ask? Yeah. So I saw the conversation from Ghostmaster about the DCS is similar to like a museum of aircraft. So pretty much no gameplay developed. There's some gameplay, but like pretty much it's all about the aircraft. So Gunship 4 could be something like between like it's not similar to DCS, but it's kind of like it's like the low fidelity models, but with interactive cockpit. Yeah, so it's not gonna be like fully like high fidelity like some of the DCS modules, but it's better than the basic FC3 DCS. I mean, in terms of cockpit interactions and simulations. Yeah. Okay. So, any comment, Go Master?
This model is a very good model.
Yeah, I think it's not details enough. It's like similar to DCS, but it's good for us. Enough for us to use. Yeah.
Is this cockpit already in 4K?
I think so. I think so because look at the usually the text. If it's not 4K, it's very blurry. So this is probably for 4K text. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of these instruments. I don't know. It's just the range finder or something. Yeah, and also this is it's got a seat shoe. So it's good.
It seems to be armor plating.
So it's attached to the canopy, right? Is it?
It looks like it.
Yeah. So if the canopy, ejected, then it should go together with the canopy. Yeah. The throttle, pretty similar to the MiG-29. I think probably the same. The MiG-29. You switch it. Yeah. Okay. Talking about the MiG-29. Yeah, we still have a lot of work to do for the MiG-29. So the release last week is just the initial release. Yeah, so I believe the fly models need to be improved as well. So
Yes.
um,
I cannot. I feel absolutely no angle of attack whatsoever at any speed.
yeah, I think that is because of the let me share the screen. I need to do some research, but I believe that the real MiG-29 have the aileron move together with the elevator as well. So when you pitch up like this, like this, right? So this and this gonna move up together. So it works like what do you call it? Elevator in the front, elevon or something. Yeah. So yeah, so this configuration gonna make the aircrafts, you know, have a higher angle of attack configuration. Yeah, so that's not yet implemented in the game, so that's why um, it seemed like it's just fly straight, right? It couldn't, you know, pitch up very high angle. Yeah. What else for the MiG-29 that you think is is weird or not?
There's a bug that the intakes will close while the plane is that or the bottom intakes will close while the plane is flying. And I know that's not supposed to happen because you're basically restricting the airflow when you are maneuvering. But in real life, the upper intakes do wiggle. But when the plane is airborne, for the most part, the up main door intakes should always be open.
Um, I remember I saw somewhere that it when it turned at a high angle of attacks, it closed the intake and opened this up.
You have a
I saw some of the videos somewhere in DCS or something. Yeah. So I'm not sure. So I believe it works similar to the F-15 with the angle of the intakes.
so it really so it's actually intentional.
Yeah, I believe that's how it's operate, but I don't know if maybe I'm wrong because there's no documents, like officially document, talking about this or when this move. Yeah, so I just saw some other games like DCS have that, so that's why yeah. But we will do some research and see in what condition is these louver gonna move. So if we have the documents, then we could very easily reprogram it, or maybe like we can ask the pilot, some of the MiG-29 pilots.
I have Russian documents, and one of them describes the intake system of the MiG-29, but the whole document is in Russian, so
Yeah,
you gotta translate that one.
I think in the manual of the German MiG-29, the Luftwaffe, they do have described this as well. Mm, yeah, but there is another restriction airflow inside here as well, so it's kind of confusion. Yeah, but we will do some more research, and we're gonna like right now it's just based on the other games that I saw. It's how they implement it. Yeah. How about the gun sounds? You think it's good?
It's one of the best in a mobile game. It sounds like the DCS one. I think that's one of the best parts of the MiG-29 in GS4.
Right. Yeah, I think the sound
But
is
the
pretty good.
engine audio, you'll need to work on it more because it sounds very weird compared to games with actually good audio design.
What audios though?
The engine,
The engine sounds.
yes.
Mm, um, like what game do you compare to? Like DCS
This
or?
DCS. That's one of the things they actually do extremely good at is their audio.
Yeah, yeah, we will see. Those things could be improved later. Right now, we have the sounds is come from a professional company. They make all the sounds for the aircraft. So they
Are
make the
you? Yeah, is that from Echo 19? Who or somebody else?
um I forgot the
Or is
name. The name who make this. Let me see. Uh, yeah, it's from South FX Studio. So they make all the gunfire and all the sound effects. So I think it's pretty good compared to the game before. I mean, like compared to a Gunship sequel. Yeah, but I don't know. It depends. Yeah, these are very subjective. So yeah, I post the link on the chat if you want to take a look on that company. Yeah, we use that for sales. Yeah. Okay, let me look at some questions. So when missiles and radar. So um, tomorrow, Monday, so we're gonna start working on the heat seek missiles. Yeah, and some of the basic radar functions. So hopefully, like by Fridays, we're gonna have the radar and missiles working. For the like radar guided missiles, it's possible to have it working on Friday, but if not, then it's gonna be next week. So within 2 weeks, then we should be able to have playable missiles. Yeah. Um, okay. What else? Yeah. So it seems like we don't have much many questions this time. Yeah. So probably we're gonna for the next like 1 or 2 months we're gonna focus on the MiG 29 and the F-15. So make sure like we want to bring it to the you know the playable like status. So right now it could fly, but it's still very like early. Yeah. Yeah, the F-15 is still need a lot of work stuff. Yeah, so some element in the HUD need to be changed, and we need to add the lights, like taxi light and landing lights. Yeah, and also after we have missiles working, then we gonna implement measure countermeasures. Yeah, so flares and chaff gonna be implemented. Yeah, so everything gonna be happen in within um, July, yeah, or early August. And also like we have to fix the A10s as well. Yeah, so once we have all of these completed, then we're gonna start implement the SU-25K. So Hopefully, that aircraft gonna be quick because hopefully a lot of system gonna be similar to the MiG 29. Yeah.
Yeah, someone in the chat said the game's flying is still nowhere near CLHD. I think that we definitely should be targeting that level of flight model detail
Yeah.
because
Again, as I mentioned from the beginning of the project, we do want to make it a really good flying experience, but it's also like we have to balance between the physics and the overall games as well. So we don't want to like spend so much time to make it so realistic because then we have to take away time from other stuff. Yeah. So imagine like the game what is it called Strike Fighter, right? Strike Fighter. I don't think that's the flight physics is very good at all. It just like it should feel like you flying on rails on Strike Fighter.
yes,
But
and they have some gameplay like a career mode where you can be in a
yeah,
different kind of squadrons
so there
and
the game is actually very good. Like the missions and all the sound effect and radios. Yeah. So that's just one of the examples. So we our physics is gonna be better than Strike Fighter, but it's never gonna be like at a DCS level or I I don't say about like carrier landing HD because seems like carrier landing HD they all the focus is on the physics. Yeah, so pretty much you have nothing else to do. Yeah. So for now, we just gonna accept, whatever the physics. It's gonna be improved a little bit, but it's not gonna be like really really good like DCS or carrier landing HD. But for now, it's good enough. And but we have to spend time on implement other stuff as well, uh, like aerial refuel, and then radar system and countermeasures and um, radar jamming. Yeah, so a lot of other stuff that need to be done before we go back to do the physics. Yeah, so eventually the physics can be improved, but for now it's just the basic. Yeah, for us to play the game first. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff as well, like the radio communication is also something very important. Like it make the game become more realistic. Yeah, so we want to focus on that as well. Yeah, and also the AIs, and then the dynamic campaigns. Um, yeah, the ground troops movements. Pilot rescue. Yeah, so if you play the games for physics, then it's not gonna be the game that gonna be like all about physics. Yeah.
there's only so much you can do. We could improve it over time, but we have so many other things as well. What I've really found from all these videos I watch is most of the games are focusing so much on the planes themselves rather than the combat environment that they will be operating in. The DCS, yeah, and I think DCS is like the best example. The people keep demanding we need more realism on the planes, and then it makes the developers focus on all the planes, and then there's not a lot of resources being made towards the gameplay aspect. So you don't really see that much gameplay. So once you've learned the plane, once you've learned all the systems of the plane, you'll find that it's not that deep of a game as you would think. That's what a lot of DCS players who have already learned, and they've they've noticed about the system, about their system.
Yeah, yeah. The thing is like there's a lot of thing that need to be implemented as a standard. For example, like I heard that they mentions that like some of the module they have a very details radar jammings, but the thing is it's not working to with other aircrafts at all. You know, it's 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 only work for that modules. So so it doesn't matter like you have that models, but the thing is it's not it's not applied to other aircraft. So you cannot jam other aircraft radar. Yeah. So it seems like each developer they develop their own modules.
Yeah,
But
their own flight model, their own radar.
yeah, so that's why the FC3 aircrafts, the basic aircraft of DCS is still very people are still playing it because it's a lot better. Uh, and so it requires a lot less studying before you can check off. Like for me, it's still very hard for me to start with the A10 in DCS. Yeah, so yeah, it's very confusing, and then yeah, a lot of studying before you can play. Yeah, so that's why like Gunship 4, we don't want to get into that. So we want players could play the game right away. So for the basic, you could just play just like World War Two, Gunship World War Two. So you get in, you put the throttle up, then you fly. Yeah. But for people who like to start the engines to do other stuff, then they could. Yeah. So it's gonna be something less than a full fidelity, but better than the basic FC3 aircrafts. Yeah. Yeah, and
Although,
go ahead.
as someone has mentioned, the speed problem of the MiG 29. In the game, when you're flying at low altitude, you can reach 1,500 kilometers, more than 1,500 kilometers per hour indicated airspeed. From the flight manual of the MiG 29, it says that to not exceed that speed because you can risk breaking up the airframe. And there's a gunship ism that I've noticed from both Gunship 4 and the previous games that when your plane is too fast, you're going to hit some kind of wall and then the game and then the camera keeps shaking. And I don't think I've seen that in other flight sims. I would like to see that kind of removed compared to the like redone so that there's actually a more realistic airframe
Yeah,
stress damage system. And also the G's, I think it's quite annoying that the G keeps fluctuating up and down, and it makes it very hard to dogfight. Like I feel like I have no G suit at all, but when you see games like Falcon BMS and real life, you can see how they can pull even 9G turns for a bit longer before they start
right.
black
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, so yeah, those issues gonna be very easy to fix. Yeah, we're gonna fix those right away because for the G stuff, for the G lock, it's pretty easy. We just, I think right now the G limit is still very low, like 4.5 or something. That's why you black
Yeah,
out all the times.
yeah, the
Yeah,
max. It's also kind of unfair to have that because it will put a new player at a huge disadvantage compared to a very experienced player. I've seen how that works in War Thunder, where they have the crew skill level thing. And one of the things there you can have is max G. It actually improves the control of the mouse aim accuracy there, and it also makes it take longer for you to black out than, say, a new player. If you have like max level, that's kind of a difficult. It kind of puts causes an inequality that an inherent disadvantage for a new player against
right.
a more experienced
Yeah,
player. But in real life, pilots will already be quite trained in multiple countries, so they actually
yeah.
can handle these G forces. So I want to see a more realistic system that applies in a more equal manner to everybody.
Yeah. So seem like we just make it fixed then. Like for modern aircraft, everyone have the G suits, right? So
Yes.
we're gonna make it fix at like 9G or something. So if you go above that, then it's gonna start to G lock. Yeah, the G system is still like carry over from the what two. Yeah. So that's something we're gonna do. So let me note it down very quickly. So we're gonna need to fix G limit, right? So
Yeah. There's a video from BMS
yeah, just fix
how
it
the
at
G limit.
fix it like at 9G,
Uh,
yeah, something like that, and then
yes.
we could gonna change that later. And then for the speed of the MiG 29, um, right now the MiG 29 we didn't do any calibration yet, so that's why it's just a like a rough estimate from the computer based on the flight, the wingspan, and the fuselage. That's all. Uh, so we're gonna have to calibrate the MiG 29 speed. So like we have to fly it and then time the acceleration and compare with the manual. Yeah. So make sure it's have the similar you know performance like the manual. So right now it's kind of off. Yeah. So that's two things like the speed of MiG 29, and then the G limit, and what else? Oh, about you said that there's a wall like when the aircraft hit certain speed. That is kind of like applied to the War two aircrafts. So for the War two aircraft, if you start to hit, you get close to um, the speed of sound, then the aircraft start to shaking, and then it's like you trying to go through a wall of air. Yeah. So that's what's
Yeah.
yeah that's what accurate for the what two aircrafts though. But for the modern aircrafts, yeah, it's just
So yeah, it's very hard to reach that
yeah.
point in a modern
If I don't know if you try to fly at Mach 2 yet, but you pretty much just max out the engine and everything before you not even hit the limit at all. Yeah, yeah. So pretty much you can run out of fuel before you could hit that. Mm, yeah, and also yeah, we have to implement the like the maximum speed, the never exceed speed, right? So if you if somehow you could all go over that speed, then the wings gonna riff off. Uh, yeah, yeah. For these aircraft, it's very high, very high. So yeah, it's rarely you can achieve that speed, but maybe it's gonna apply for the the bigger aircrafts like the KC 135. So yeah, so it's gonna be behave more or less similar like the like what two aircrafts. Yeah. Yes, those are gonna be fixed very quickly. Once we have the missiles and radar, then we're gonna fix everything so that you can play with two aircrafts. So that's the goal for the next 2 months. Somebody asked about 30 minutes of flight time. So what that means?
Yeah, I think the MiG 29 does not fly that far in the game.
Oh, you mean
I
the
think
fuel?
one half scaling can kind of not make it not fun to fly short range planes. I've seen that problem in Gunship Sequel World War II, especially with the Russian planes. The Yak 9 has very, very little flight time. And it is likely the case that the MiG 29, like, yeah, smaller planes like the MiG 21 too, they will kind of struggle to maintain, to have sufficient flight time. with the one
Yeah.
upscaling because they just have very
No, actually,
little
actually,
fuel and
the math is like half scale, right? But
yeah.
but the fuel of the aircraft is the same as the real aircraft. We didn't scale down the fuel consumption or anything like that. So pretty much like if you compare it to real life, it's similar. It seems like it's gonna have double the range compared to real aircraft. That's one thing. But remember, if you fly at with afterburner all the time, it's gonna burn out the fuel quick. So if you fly at mil power, then it should be fine. Yeah, other people they don't say anything about the fuel, but if you crank up all the ways, then you're gonna burn all the fuels. And another thing is we didn't have the fuel tanks implemented. I mean the drop tanks. So once we have the drop tanks, then the range gonna be a lot further. Yeah. So I don't think the fuel is a problem for this game right now. Yeah.
That is true, but it's kind of weird when you see the fuel gauge go down by like 40 kilometers when you're transferring in from when you're taxiing from one side of the airfield to the other in the MiG 29 because you're clearly not going 40 kilometers. You probably will more like 3 or 4 take that.
Sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. So you taxi in the on
Yes.
the runway?
And yeah, when I taxi on the runway, I'm seeing like a significant decrease in fuel, more than what I would normally expect, like 40 kilometers,
Oh,
which in
I
the fuel gauge
I see.
indicator.
Oh, so you look at the fuel the range estimate, right? Because the mission have the range estimate in the fuel gauge.
Yes.
Yeah, don't look at that because that is not very accurate. It's not like a car that you could even a car the range estimate is very off because those are used for flying range, not taxiing. Yeah.
So they will be used for ferrying range with not actual combat missions.
Yeah, these are just an estimate from a computer, and then it's very up. Even the real aircrafts. It's just for example, like that roughly you still have like 500 kilometers of fuel, but it
Yeah.
depends on a lot of stuff like how high you fly, and yeah, and it's not based on what you put inside, on the engine. So if crank up all the way to to the max, then you're gonna burn a lot of more fuel than the estimate. So the estimate is like you fly at a very like very conserve fuel conserve mode. Yeah. So it's not based on your engine's performance at all. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did the game already implement the different fuel consumption at altitudes? Because yeah, you would consume less fuel up high.
Yeah. The engines doesn't have we don't have the fuel consumption curve implemented in the engine yet. But as you fly higher, you're gonna have less air resistance. So naturally, you're gonna use less fuel. Yeah.
Yeah, less air, less thrust also, but less
Yeah.
fuel consumption.
So okay, again for now, all of those gonna be roughly simulate. Yeah. So it's not it's not accurate. It just similar to a real aircraft's performance. Yes. So yeah. So the goal is we're not gonna focus on all the details. Yeah. The goal is make the game you know uh, playable first. Yeah.
Right. I
Yeah.
think we should, yeah, do something that's not something like gameplay related.
Yeah, because gameplay is last for a long time. You know, like BMS, the same gameplay for 20, 30 years. Yeah, but
Yeah, that's BMS.
yeah.
Every mission's unpredictable, and that's kind of the standard that we should be aiming for the GS4 campaign. We might
Yes.
even be able to expand the map to like multiple conflicts, multiple conflicts, multiple theaters, so that we can replicate that experience on mobile.
Yes. Yeah. So once we have the campaigns working, we could apply it for any conflicts, any maps that we want. Yeah. So yeah, it's a good investment to focus on that. Yeah. And also like we want to do a thing that not other games have, like implement the tankers, playable tankers with you can control the booms and something like that. Yeah. So a lot of those play that gameplays that people want to play, but pretty much like no other games offers that. So yeah.
Also, there is one thing about the refueling. Will we still have instant refueling and reloading of weapons on the airfield like in the previous gunship games? Or will it be gradual? Like you have to wait some time before your plane is fully fueled up and the weapons are reloaded
Yeah.
in realistic mode?
Yeah, that's kind of easy to do. It's just a timer. It's nothing special or anything like that. It's just like for now we have to play the game first and
Yeah.
decide how it's gonna be happen. Because you know, if we make it too realistic, then people have to wait, and then
Yes.
yeah, people get bored,
And make it,
or
it's
you
not
got
fun
shoot down.
anymore.
People are gonna camp at your base, and you on the runway, and then people are gonna shoot you down or something like that. Yeah. So for now, we just keep the system of the Gunship 4 just for now, and then once we have the base have missiles to defend itself, and then we could think about how more like realistic refueling. Yeah. So we could even have some um, animation of the refueling. The refuel trucks gonna come out, and then some of the crew walk around and refuel aircrafts. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Uh,
luxury feature for sure.
yeah, that's gonna be very nice because like we don't have that in DCS, right? In DCS, you just pretty much just refuel. You just
Yeah,
wait.
it's
That's
just
all,
like
right?
bring up the menu and then here's your loadout. Here's your mix of flares and chaff.
Yeah.
Then you go.
But do they have a timer? Like you have to wait sometime.
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So maybe we're gonna implement a system like for history. Yeah. Remember last time we discussed we talking about like we don't have multiple level um, of gameplays like World War Two. Like we're not gonna have historic and realistic. Like we're gonna join everything in one gameplay. Remember?
Is that like one server lobby list, or is it all gonna be just
Yeah,
realistic mode?
it's it's one lobby list, but you
Yeah, yeah.
but each each player could customize their room with some of the features that they want or they don't want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that gives you the impression that the game has more activity, unlike Gunship Takeover 2, where there's too many maps, and then there are several maps that nobody is playing in,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
in
So
realistic.
yeah, so it's kind of like encourage people to play realistic more because
Yeah,
pretty much we let players customize their own realistic setting. Whoever create the room could set the level of difficulty. Um, they could choose either have labels or don't have any labels at all or whatever, and then the game gonna base on that and then gonna classify the room based on what is the setting. So they could classify as easy to play or harder or realistics, right? Yeah, and then yeah, that's another thing. And then yeah, and then maybe like the refueling and rearms could be something that people could set in the setting that they want, a realistic waiting time, or they want instantly refuel, right? Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot of things that we could do to improve the gameplay. Yeah, so that's why we don't want to focus on physics and too much on the system of the aircraft. Otherwise, it's gonna take forever to doing things. Yeah, I don't know. Compare if I don't know what you guys think, but compare with other games, Gunship 4 is the progress is pretty fast. You know, it's like Strike Fighter for the last 30 years, it's the same games. Uh, there's nothing changed, right? Strike Fighter, DCS, a lot of new modules, but pretty much the base FC3 is still the base. It's still the same. There's not much different compared to 10
Yeah,
years
and
ago.
it's taking a long time for them to
Yeah,
implement the dynamic campaign. I thought they've announced it years ago.
yeah. They did have the multi-thread implemented, right? Last time I said,
Yes,
yeah,
it was delayed also by like a couple years.
right. Yeah, so I don't know why. Yeah, for them, why not they take the FC3 and then improve it, make it like clickable cockpit, because it seems like the graphics are already there. They already have the very good graphics for the FC3 models, and yeah, so all they need is just add some some interactive, some system into the the games, but yeah. But yeah, maybe like you mentioned, like people like the super details modules, so that's why they don't do that. Yeah, yeah, and it just take forever. I think like each modules of the CS is like 3 years or something, 3 or 4 years to be completed. Yeah,
The guy who made is making the Corsair is taking like it has already taken more than twice the length of World War II. Or wait, I mean more than twice the length of the Pacific War.
yeah,
And the Corsair in DCS is still not yet even in early access.
yeah. See, yeah, that's why like when we develop games, we have to look at the big pictures and and develop together all the airplanes, so that people can play against each other. But if you like develop each aircraft at a time, then it's, it, it's very hard to play against other aircrafts, because maybe for War 2 aircraft it's easy because there are no radar or environments involved. But for fighters, for modern fighters, then a lot of stuff have to, have to be implemented before, yeah, before you could play. Otherwise it's just pretty much just operating the equipment. uh F16, F18, yeah. Yeah, so these are the AIs that I have inside the game, but it's not yet shown to you guys yet. So because these are just the base, it's not really function yet. This is just for shooting the videos that you see in January. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the late version of the F-18C with the additional antennas.
Oh, okay. So the one used in Iraq is it less, it
Yeah,
has less than that.
there are fewer ones.
Yeah.
When we get close, I will like show you which details that Hornet actually has, and then you could probably make a later F-18C for the post Desert Storm stuff
Yeah.
with the like this model, because there's different cockpit layout in the lot 10 to 11 F-18C and lot 12 to 20, lot 12 to 20 F-18Cs.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, a lot of detail. We're gonna improve it later. Oops. Yeah, I tried to look for some aircrafts that I have to show. Yeah, some of these we don't have the textures. Uh, it's not. I have texture, but I removed those because remember we have a problem with Android that it doesn't let the developer
Yeah,
to dev-
let us go
yeah.
to GB.
So it seems like for Android we have to reduce the texture quality. We cannot have 4K all the times like iPhone. Yeah, because the limit, the size limit. I don't know why they still have the size limit for nowadays phones.
Yeah, the thing is, they have already very powerful processors in
Yeah,
the flagship Androids, and they still do that.
yeah. So
There are
that,
games that get around this by you will download additional assets from the servers after putting the base game from the store
yeah,
on your device, but that is quite expensive, and the companies that usually do that, they have a lot of money to spare,
yeah. That
while
yeah.
the Python developer doesn't have much money.
Yeah. It took a lot of the resources from us to we implement that. We have to run a server, and then people are download, and there's a lot of problem as well. Yeah, like, while you download, it could corrupt, and then the game is not playable because of that. Yeah, so I don't know if you why iPhone they can do that. They can let you download the whole thing in one shot. Nowadays the internet is very pretty fast. Yeah, so you for iOS you could have the game with 10 gigabytes of data, no problem. And for Android, yeah, that's why Android is still very behind compared to iOS. Yeah, so they don't they the way they yeah the devices is like even the hardware is
Actually,
very nice, but it's very limited for some reason.
the app size limit on iOS is 4 GB. So once you have like sufficient content, we might have to start thinking of way to how to add more content, how to get the rest of the content in the game to to the client, because you did say that the game could be 5 GB. So eventually iOS could run into the same kind of issue you are experiencing on Android right now.
Yeah, not sure yet because you never know. Like by the time that we develop, like our games hit 4 gigabytes, Apple may raise that limit into like 6 gigabytes. So we never know. Yeah, the same for 4 gigabytes. The limit is before it's lower as well, but then they raise it to 4 gigabytes. Yeah. So let's see. I don't think we're gonna hit that 4 gigabytes soon. Yeah. So what we do right now for Android is that we reduce the any like unnecessary textures, and then only focus on the skin of the aircraft and the cockpit. And even inside the cockpit, only the area that you usually see have a higher resolution. Yeah. And also like another reason is that we have a lot of other aircrafts inside here that without even that you're not seeing it is still in the game, you know like these B-52s or the F-14 AI, like these textures is still in the game, so that's why it's kind of make the games bigger. Yeah. So yeah, for yeah, hopefully that we're gonna hit that very soon. Okay. The question is, oh no, not a question, but somebody said that iPad Pro M1 will be playing GS4 on good detail level for many years ago. Yeah, because for us, the Apple device is the main device that we developed for. So yeah, so like even the iPhone 6 to be able to play the games with the lowest setting. So there's no reason that you couldn't play the games for iPad Pro. Yeah. Okay. Those little details, long future. Yeah, little details. We gonna once we have some time, some spare time, then we could add, like one or more features. So for a long time, then the aircraft's gonna become a lot more realistic. Yeah.
Also, they also when are we going to see like even more updates to the Desert Storm map aside from the airfields and the because yeah, there's still a lot of details left to implement, and it will take up, and I know that will take up quite a bit of storage.
Yeah. Yeah. So oh yeah, talk about the runway. I remember you guys have to look at the screenshots about the new runway. Yeah, we're gonna like implement all the runways with markers and everything. Um, the thing is, those doesn't take a lot of storage because all the markers use the same textures, repeated texture everywhere. So it's not taking a lot of resources, and then also we're gonna have what else? Airfields, maybe some ports around Kuwait city. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, some ports.
there will be quite a bit of Iraqi forces around Kuwait
Yeah,
when the dynamic campaigns is there.
yeah, but mostly like tanks and convoys, and then support vehicles, right? Uh, for structures, I believe like we already have most of the structures. I mean buildings and cities, so they are already there. Um, I mean oil fields are also already there. So
Yeah,
yes,
it's being asked whether is Baghdad going to be detailed. For example, I think Baghdad still has more detail we could implement. There was a nuclear research facility in the real Baghdad in Desert Storm that is currently not in the game yet, and I think that is too important to leave out in the game.
right. Yeah. So for
There's
Bad Batch, yeah, we actually have a plan for the downtown Bad Batch. So the outsides we're gonna keep the same buildings, like generic buildings for the for the residential area, but inside downtown we're gonna have some realistic buildings, like the government buildings or the presidential ballets or something like that. So those are gonna be 3D model of those buildings, and and the downtown's gonna have we're gonna base on Google Map to create a downtown area so that it's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. One thing that major city that is missing from the game is Doha in Qatar. Um, the airport in Doha is where the coalition launched the Package Q airstrike against the Iraqi nuclear research facility, and it's not in the game, but
I-
I think it's of high importance to
is
have
it
that
in the
airport in the
map?
city.
Is it in the map?
Yeah, in the map. Yeah,
Okay.
Qatar is included in the gunship current map, I
Yeah.
believe.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. The reason is I believe it's because it kind of far away from too far away, so it take a long time to fly. But
Yeah, but there's area refueling in the game, so that could be not as much of a there will be area
yeah,
refueling, so
it's because
it's not
maybe
as much of an issue.
something fun to
And
do.
also there will be
Yeah.
hot bikes
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah, I think if we make it fun, people are willing to fly with a long distance, with refueling and all that stuff.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. If they do that in Infinite Flight, so why not do it in Gunship 4 also?
yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, for sure. We could add that because the original plan is just anything that further from Saudi Arabia, then we're gonna have a air start for those. Yeah, but once we have some time, and then we were gonna create airbase for Qatar as well. Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah,
fun.
there's quite a bit of bases for both sides,
Yeah, so right now
especially
we
in.
just focus on like three bases for the US, and three bases for, I think, four bases for the Iraqi. Yeah, for just for now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so exactly like Frederick said, the Baghdad's gonna have details for the cities, famous buildings and factories and things like that. Yeah,
We should we should add this. We should add this thing. We should add some historical landmarks in the game as well
yeah, mm-hmm.
as an Easter egg. This is the Great Ziggurat of Ur
Yeah.
from ancient Sumeria.
That's gonna be similar to Hamburg. Remember in World War II, if you fly, down in Hamburg, you're gonna see a lot of buildings that are actually historical buildings and ports and yeah, and railways and yeah, a lot of stuff in Hamburg. Yeah, so we gonna do the same for the Badass this time. Yeah, if
Will
it
it be possible for buildings to collapse, or is that just going to be, or is just going to make them burn like the previous games?
it could, we could make it collapse, but it just, if we try to make it collapse too many buildings, then
Yeah,
it's
then it will affect
yeah,
performance,
it's gonna
and
be,
then
it's gonna be
everybody
slow
also.
it down a lot. So maybe only major building. Usually, it's only the buildings that you know involved in the war got collapsed. Uh, because a lot of people just randomly just drop bomb everywhere. So yeah, we cannot make like everything collapsible. Yes, it's only
Yeah.
important buildings.
Also, about the highways in Gunship 4, I've noticed that they look very, very a little too small. Remember the Highway of Death in the real Desert Storm? I think the roads were wider than the ones you currently see in Gunship 4. So you could make them wider, and maybe at some point in the campaign you could probably find place the wreckage based on the real one as a detail in at some point in the future.
Yeah, yeah. I believe the highway. I think
Yeah,
most of the
yeah,
highways is two
in
lanes, right? I remember in Iraq, it's only two lanes. One, there's not like very big freeway or anything like that. Um, but
okay.
but but yeah, but right now we make everything the same. So all the highway have the same width. So, but maybe like in the major highway, we're gonna make it bigger later. Yeah. Another thing is maybe we're gonna models. No, the thing is, if you create a dynamic campaigns, then you have to create the models. I mean, you have to create whatever the wreckage around it. For example, like while you're playing the games, and then you shoot down a lot of tanks on the highway, then you're gonna have a lot of wreckage on the highways. Um, so we cannot just just put it there. We could put some wreckage just to represent a war. Just create a feeling, but we cannot like recreate, because if you recreate the highway of that, then you have to create an event that that following to to manifest that those records. So it doesn't make sense for dynamic campaigns. It makes sense for something like it's like a movie, right? At what time there's something gonna show up, yeah. But for dynamic campaign, it's the campaign changing all the time. So anytime that you play is different. Yeah, every different every single time. So it's very hard to create something. Yeah. So it's pretty much the player create the scene, not the developer. Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah, and also like if you look at this image, it's gonna be a lot of polygons. Gonna slow down the game. Yeah. Okay, there's a lot of ideas, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Yeah. Okay, so in summary, for next week, we're gonna have the missiles, the heat sink missiles, the initially release. There's gonna be a lot of improvements, and then we're gonna fix some of the problems of the MiG 29 and the F-15, and then also like we should have the radar operable next week as well. Yeah, for both aircrafts.
Okay, so radar guided missiles are not coming in the first initial radar release,
I I,
but
I think it could.
coming released afterwards.
If we were lucky, we could have it next week as well. Yeah, because in theory, it's the radar guided should be similar to the heat six in terms of the coding. It just is guiding by a radar. That's all. So if we have the heat sink working, then the radar should be there as well. Yeah, but otherwise it's gonna be like mid the week after. Yeah, like Wednesday or Thursday for the week after. Then we're gonna have both of them implemented.
Both
Yeah,
radar and IR missiles.
yeah.
Okay, one thing I would like to see in the game. Will you put real clouds in Gunship for not just cosmetic or graphics or graphical clouds, but actual clouds that affect the gameplay, and that you cannot lock on an enemy if you don't see them in the clouds, similar to the to IR missiles in War Thunder,
I
because
see.
that's actually one of the few things War Thunder actually gets better than DCS. DCS you can lock on even in the clouds, but in War Thunder in real life you cannot lock on an IR missile if you can't see them through the line of sight while you're in the clouds and you don't visually see that
Yeah,
enemy.
that's a great idea though. And it's not hard to implement. Because it's just pretty much just like collisions that we gonna block the radar beams, or I mean the light the IR beams. So yeah, it's not something hard to do. The thing is, I look at a lot of the videos from Iraqis. There's a storm. There's no cloud in Iraq.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it could benefit future maps,
yeah,
but and it could also be in this current map, but there will be very few clouds like that for now.
yeah. I think like for now, we don't need to implement that. Just leave it on the side because for most of the time it was clear. In the desert environment, so it's not something hard to do. Yeah, I was thinking that you talking about the graphics of the the cloud. The graphics of the cloud is a lot more, like demanding on the device. So yeah, if you want to make it something look realistically, then it's very hard, and then it's gonna slow down the game a lot. If we're doing the graphics. Uh,
Yeah,
if we keep the graphics, the cloud graphics just right now, just the same like what we have in World War II, and then add the physics for the cloud, then it's doable. It's not a lot of work. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, Door Gunner is asking, in the F-14, can we have working TACAN navigation and ILS for the carrier. So yeah, we want realistic navigation equipment instruments for the planes. And yeah, we want to also have that and a realistic landing system. Like we have the ILS marker on the
Yeah,
edge of the
yeah,
runway that you have the glide scope and stuff.
yeah.
So you are you going to try to implement that
Yeah, so we
later
will
on?
we will implement that. It's, I don't think it's very hard to do at all. Pretty much just it's just a frequency that you turn your take an equipment to, and then it's gonna point you to that base, right? Yeah,
Yeah, because we're gonna have weather in the game. Like we can have bad visibility, right? You said the weather effects will be purely aesthetic in an earlier time.
yeah,
So you could so if the visibility is really bad, I can use like the ILS to land on the carrier,
yes,
or if
yes,
I'm trying to do it at night as well, because sometimes there will be a night mission. Like yeah, especially in the first night of Desert Storm, yeah, you kind of have to use
yeah.
that.
So it seems like in Desert Storm, there's the only condition that they have is low visibility, really, right? Yeah, or kind of like sandstorm or something like that. That,
Yeah, sandstorms
yeah,
and sometimes bad visibility. Like on day one, there was.
yeah, yeah. Yes. So yeah, for Taken and iOS, we will implement that. Yeah, it's not something hard to do at all. So especially for big aircrafts like the KC-135, then they need those. So those are pre GPS um, time, right? So they relies on those system a lot. Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of the details gonna be implemented, but it gonna be implement for all the aircrafts in the whole for the whole ecosystem, not just one aircraft at a time. Yeah, so that's how we do it. Okay, guys, so the time is over. So see everyone again next week, either Saturday or Sunday. Yeah, so probably by then we're gonna have a lot of thing to do. A lot of new thing to test, and yeah, so we can fight against each other. Okay, guys. All right, see you guys next time.